They're a fascinating group of powerful men and women who led violent or weird lifestyles while acquiring some of the world's most incredible fortunes. These crooks and businessmen were regarded as some of the most dangerous on the planet by government officials and associates. Several of these were included to official most wanted lists in several nations. Here are top 10 richest drug lords of all time. Number 10. Al Capone. He was known as Scarface in the United States. He was born Alphonse Gabriel Capone. He was the son of Italian immigrants Gabrielle and Teresa Capone, and one of 9 children born to them. The Capones had traveled from Angri, Austria-Hungary, via Fiume, Austria-Hungary, and then traveled to America by ship, settling in Brooklyn, New York. Capone had been a bright Catholic school student until he was dismissed for punching one of the female professors in the face. Following that, he worked a number of odd jobs in Brooklyn while mentoring with gangster Johnny Torrio. Capone rose through the ranks of lesser gangs to become more formidable, eventually joining Torrio as a brothel bouncer. His labor came with the added benefit of syphilis, which he developed at the age of 20. Capone assumed leadership of the mafia syndicate Torrio led when he was 26 years old. In a crime network that stretched into Canada, the organization operated clandestine breweries and liquor transportation. The network's safety from politicians and law enforcement was the cherry on top. He became a celebrity, known for his jewels, custom suits, high-end cigars, lavish foods and beverages, and a large number of ladies. Even though his illicit actions frequently involved presumptions of physical brutality and murder, he was imprisoned for breaching prohibition rules and tax evasion. Alcatraz and the Federal Correctional Institution at Terminal Island, California, the Atlanta U.S. Penitentiary, and the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia were all places where Capone spent time. After dealing with symptoms induced by the late stages of syphilis, he died in his house on Palm Island, Florida, of a stroke, pneumonia, and cardiac arrest. Number 9. Griselda Blanco. She was a Colombian drug lady who worked for the Medellin cartel and was a part of the Miami cocaine underworld. During the period she carried cocaine from Colombia to Southern California, Miami, and New York. She is said to have been responsible for over 200 homicides. She was born in Cartagena and died in Medellin at the age of 69 after being shot. She began her career as a thief by picking pockets and looting. She was a pivotal player in Colombian drug trafficking to the United States. Her drug ring was violent, uncontrolled, and unrestrained. Her shady business tactics allegedly generated monthly drug distribution earnings of more than $80,000 USD. After assassination attempts by her rivals, she fled to California. She was captured and spent 10 years in prison, yet she continued to run her cocaine empire from behind bars. She was at ease with firearms, cocaine, and a bisexual lifestyle. Random passers-by, her business competitors, strippers, a 4-year-old boy, and 3 of her former spouses were all killed, according to court documents. She eventually accepted a new life as a born-again Christian, according to one of her sons. Griselda Blanco Restrepo is known by multiple different names. Cocaine Godmother, La Madrina, Queen of Narco-Trafficking, Black Widow, La Dama de la Mafia. Number 8. Carlos Lehder. In the United States, Carlos Enrique Lehder Rivas is serving time in prison. He co-founded the Medellin cartel as a Colombian drug kingpin. On Norman's Key Island in the Bahamas, he controlled a large cocaine transit network. He is known for creating Muertes Secuestradores, a paramilitary group dedicated to retaliating against guerrillas who kidnapped cartel members and families. He also created the National Latin Movement, which was labeled as neo-Nazi in its politics and centered on overturning Colombia's extradition deal with the United States. Lehder's downfall came when he openly bribed Bahamas officials to draw attention to his Norman's Key operations. He was charged with drug trafficking, kidnapping, and murder. Lehder was born to a German father and a Colombian mother. His family ran a used vehicle dealership, and Lehder began his criminal career by stealing American cars to sell in the dealership. Lehder is reported to have served 55 years of a life sentence without the possibility of release, plus an extra 135 years. However, because he consented to testify against Manuel Noriega, Lehder is believed to be in the Witness Protection Program. Number 7. Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela and his brother. The Cali cartel was formed when Gilberto and his brother Miguel joined forces with José Santa Cruz Lundu. It was called after the city of Santiago de Cali, where it was founded. Cali is unusual from other Colombian cities in that it has access to the Pacific coast. The brothers started with marijuana and then moved on to cocaine. The Cali cartel distinguished itself from the violent Medellín cartel by employing bribery to achieve its objectives. When the Colombian National Police raided Gilberto's home, he was arrested. Gilberto had evaded the police earlier because he hid in a bathroom cabinet along with a tank of oxygen. He was convicted and sent to prison to serve a 15-year sentence. He was set free for a short period before being apprehended. Both Gilberto and Miguel were extradited to the United States and pleaded guilty to conspiring to smuggle cocaine and, later, conspiring to launder money. Gilberto is serving a 30-year sentence in the Federal Correctional Institution in Butner, North Carolina. In exchange for immunity for 29 members of their family, the brothers decided to plead guilty. Number 6. José Gonzalo Rodríguez Gacha. Gacha, also known as El Mexicano, was assassinated by police at the age of 42. The DEA, the Cali cartel, the Colombian government, the FARC fighters, and Victor Carranza and his so-called Emerald Guild were all opponents of his. His foes eventually banded together to bring him down. His organization was penetrated by the Cali cartel, and the rest of the members exchanged intelligence reports with the authorities. Gacha's locations were discovered thanks to informants, and a massive raid was carried out as a result. Gacha was killed by machine gun fire from a helicopter. Thousands of mourners flocked to his funeral in Pacho, where neighbors praised his efforts to rehabilitate municipal buildings. Gacha had made a fortune in drug trafficking and was a well-known assassin. He formed a lucrative collaboration with the Ochoa family, which eventually became known as the Medellín cartel. In Houston, Texas, Los Angeles, California, and Mexico, Gacha was a pioneer of new drug trafficking routes. His nickname came from his love of Mexican popular culture, and he profited on it by acquiring horses, farms, and fortune. His operations spanned the globe, from Panama to California and everywhere in between. He established Tranquilandia, the world's largest jungle laboratory for the production and packaging of cocaine. 2,000 workers slept in dorms in the complex, which was eventually demolished by the DEA and the Colombian National Police, along with more than 13 metric tons of cocaine. Number 5. Kunsa. Zhang Qifu is also known as Kunsa in Burmese. He was born in Burma and trained with the Burmese army in the Kuomintang in his early years. He finally won his own area, allowing him to engage in substantial opium trafficking in the Golden Triangle. He dominated the opium trade for the next 20 years, starting in 1976. To achieve his objectives, he enlisted the help of both the Burmese and Thai governments. He was dubbed Opium King because of his vast network. His profession as a drug boss took him all around the world. He shut down operations and moved to Yangon to live with his mistresses in great wealth after the American Drug Enforcement Agency broke the links he had established with his international brokers. Number 4. Jorge Luis Ochoa Vásquez and his brothers. During the late 1980s, Jorge, Juan David, and Fabio Ochoa were key members of the dangerous Medellín cartel. The brothers were known for working together to manufacture, distribute, and advertise cocaine. Originally, the Ochoa brothers were part of a cattle breeding family that also managed family restaurants. Their foray into the narcotics business began in the 1970s, when Jorge created their cartel. The Colombian family was involved in several arrests, indictments, and extradition efforts in various countries, but by 1984, the cartel's dominance had grown to the point where each Colombian extradition would result in the murder of 10 Colombian judges. Jorge is one of the world's top 20 richest men, according to Forbes. In 1987, his personal net worth was reported to be around $3 billion. Number 3. Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar. Dawood Ibrahim is from Mumbai, India. D Company, an Indian crime organization, was created by him. He was designated as a global terrorist in 2003. He was ranked third on the list of the world's 10 most wanted criminals in 2011. Terrorism, drug trafficking, extortion, murder, and targeted killing are among the charges leveled against him. He currently resides in the Pakistani city of Karachi. He is thought to be in charge of the Hawala money transfer mechanism. It's an unofficial technique of value transfer that relies on honest cash movement within a network of money brokers. The U.S. Department of Treasury has attempted to track his narcotics shipments and smuggling routes. His organization has similar networks to Al-Qaeda and operates throughout India, South Asia, Africa, the United Kingdom, Western Europe, and the Middle East. Many efforts have been made to bring Ibrahim to justice in India, but he still has Pakistani passports and lives in Pakistan, and reports suggest that he may have moved his operations to the Pakistan-Afghanistan border. His D company has also been tied to the Bollywood industry, as it has sponsored, intimidated, and extorted various companies and films. Ibrahim's D company and its expanding influence are the subject of the film Shootout at Vadala. Number 2. Amado Carrillo Fuentes. He was called the Lord of the Skies because he used his massive fleet of jets to carry drugs. When he executed his boss, he also took over the Juarez cartel. When Rafael Aguilar Guajardo died, Fuentes was able to take over as cartel leader. Fuentes was born into an 11-child family, and after learning the drug trade, he hired his brothers and son as his subordinates. He developed a multi-billion-dollar drug trafficking machine with his empire. Authorities in Mexico and the United States were determined to apprehend him. In order to elude them, Fuentes underwent plastic surgery to alter his look. The procedure failed, and he died as a result of surgical complications caused by a malfunctioning respirator or drugs. He'd brought his bodyguards into the operating room to keep an eye on the July surgery. The 2 surgeons who operated on him were discovered deceased in November. Their remains had reportedly been tortured before being imprisoned in concrete-filled steel drums. El Señor de los Cielos, the Lord of the Skies, a fictitious depiction of his life starring Rafael Amaya, ran on Telemundo for several years. Number 1. Pablo Escobar. Pablo Emilion Escobar Gaviria was the head of a cartel that was responsible for smuggling 80% of the cocaine into the United States. The king of cocaine gained his title by earning more than $21.9 billion in annual personal revenue. He was born in Rio Negro but raised in Medellin. He was a university student at Medellin for a period, but dropped out before finishing to sell counterfeit lottery tickets, illegal smokes, and steal automobiles. He honed his skills at infiltrating the U.S. narcotics market and specialized in cocaine trafficking. He is credited with the creation of the first effective smuggling routes into the United States. His Medellin cartel was notorious for assassinating and murdering politicians and law enforcement officers. Though he is best known for creating football fields and houses in Colombia, the city has also gained the label of murder capital of the world. Escobar was assassinated by Colombian National Police while he was only 44 years old.